this pipeline, I think we want to make it as uncomfortable as possible for the pipeline company, Spectra Energy, which is a billion-dollar corporation based in Houston. We did an action. We shut down their office in Waltham. We've done actions against their investors. We're doing actions against the senators that support them. So I think ultimately we want to make it as much of a political crisis as possible and make sure that Spectra Energy cannot operate without feeling the heat at all times, and also make such a political crisis that those that support this pipeline will know that we're going to call them out and expose them. So to make it not politically safe for people to support this project, which is an immoral project.
I just want to give our listeners a little bit of background on the kind of the technical realities of this pipeline. Folks, if you think that this pipeline is a good idea, I can tell you right now, it's not. They're talking about tripling, I think, the pressure in this pipeline. It's a 220-mile pipeline, one of the oldest in the country. They're going to upgrade the pressure. They're going to upgrade the compression stations of the 220-mile pipeline. They're only proposing to refurbish 40 miles of that pipeline. Now, you don't have to be a rocket science to figure out if you triple the water pressure in your house without upgrading the pipes in your house, you're going to have a flooded basement. It is an absolute recipe for disaster, and it's been billed as the solution to New England's energy crisis. But as we saw, some great reporting from EcoRI News, my friend Tim Faulkner over there, there's already been contracts signed to ship this gas overseas from LNG terminals in Canada. And the Spectra pipeline itself ends in a capped stub about 4 miles off the coast of Boston. You know what that capped stub is there for? It's so you can build an LNG platform, put that gas on ships, and ship it over to Europe where you can charge a premium for it.
So we in a sense, absorb the geophysical risk, if you will, for someone else's profit.
Exactly.
But there are two ends to it. The other end is the beginning. Well, it's not an end, but it's a beginning, namely the operation of fracking itself. That is really industrial-size devastation. Mm-hmm. For instance, the airport, which one is it? Dallas Airport has been fracked. There are 50 wells on that airport.
In Washington, D.C.? Dulles?
No.
Oh, Dallas.
Dallas.
Okay, Dallas.
Fort Worth.
Okay.
I think that's the one in Texas. There are 50 wells on an airport. If you look at where the horizontal drill lines are, because there's this horizontal drilling, they drill a mile deep and then 2 miles horizontally. It's precisely the perimeter of the airport that has been drilled. And so gas has been extracted there. If you want to get all the gas out of the Marcellus Shale, you have to patch basically the whole area with wells. Now, in Pennsylvania, there already are something like 100,000 wells, and they're drilling new ones. You are going to inject water into one well, and you have no idea where it comes out. It has high pressure. It just squirts out. It blows out anywhere.
And not just water. I mean, there's a horrible mix of chemicals that goes into fracking these natural gas deposits. And again, let's all remember, natural gas does not exist in a vacuum. Natural gas is a byproduct of oil, of crude oil. The gas rises to the top, and then the natural gas comes off. And in some cases, these fracking operations are directly above aquifers. I mean, we're talking about people's drinking water here.
You drill through the water table, and how are you going to drill with mud through the water table without getting mud into the water? It's physically impossible.
And this is at a point in our nation's history where we are facing record challenges to the water tables in a variety of parts of the country, to the point where a drought doesn't even begin to sum up. You're looking at deep drilling, which is essentially eliminating the water table. California, all different parts of the West Coast.
But back to the kind of the corporate influence, even in the face of this drought in California, you have a company like Nestle that's pulling 400,000 gallons of water out of those aquifers every single day so that they can bottle it and sell it to you for a 4,000% markup.
We've only got a few minutes left, and Dr. Nightingale, I'm going to ask you to take a stab at this. As a quote-unquote libertarian, on my side of the aisle, much fun is made out of climate change, particularly, as probably the cheapest, easiest way to do clickbait to get people to respond to your website is to post a picture of one of the 200 different snowstorms that have hit us seemingly in the last month and go, global warming. Where's the global warming? Talk, if you will, about the permanent change in weather patterns that's taken place in the United States, particularly on the Northeast, which in a sense has resulted in these catastrophic shifts in weather that we've seen.
Well, I mean, of course, people these days have been talking about climate change rather than global warming, although the two go hand in hand if you average over the Earth. But if you're talking about the Northeast, there is a thing called the Ridiculously Resilient Ridge, RRR, and that is a high-pressure region that lives in the North Pacific. And basically what it does is it pushes the jet stream to the north towards the pole over there on the west side of the continent. And, well, you can say the jet stream takes revenge and it goes further south on our side. So what causes on the one side of the climate of the continent a drought in California is precisely what gives us these enormous amounts of snow. I mean, more water ends up in the atmosphere and it has to go somewhere. Well, we've been getting it.
And certainly connected to the warming of the oceans. I mean, you heat up water, it evaporates, there's more moisture in the atmosphere. So, these freak snowstorms and superstorm hurricanes, I think back to Hurricane Sandy. Here's a hurricane that made landfall 500 miles south of here and just completely destroyed Rhode Island's coastline. So again, it's this kind of like one-step thinking, I think, is the best way to put it.
What do you, as on a practical level, what can the environmental movement, or particularly your flavor of the environmental movement, do to do a better job or stimulate people to doing a better job of explaining those type of weather phenomena? Because it seems like so much is lost because of the dumbing down of our media and the information that stems from it.
I keep repeating myself until I can't listen to myself anymore. What else can I do?
Should we do a PSA?
Others join in. And, the trouble with the news is man bites dog gets on the front page, the rest does not. So you have to wrap it into something that people consider outrageous. And that's where I think the connection between civil disobedience and getting the news out is made. That's how I see it.
And I think if we all just think in our own lives what's been happening in the weather, or we talk to our friends in other parts of the country, something's dramatically happening. We've had I can remember the past 5 years of my life, all the dramatic weather events here in New England, the strange things that are happening. And it's all connected. So I think we have to just make those connections in our mind and see that the climate is changing and that humans are responsible. And they're trying to frame the debate here in Rhode Island as lower energy costs or more gas. But actually, that's a false choice. The real choice is more fossil fuels or clean energy. We can lower our energy costs. We can own our own energy if we use renewable energies, putting solar panels on our buildings, on our community centers, on our schools. So we'll own that energy, those energy sources, instead of having to pay monthly bills to these corporations every year. So I think we have to look at the real choice being between more fossil fuels that are hurting people, hurting mostly people of color, low-income people around the world, or clean, renewable energy that will benefit our communities.
Well, believe it or not, the hour has come to a close. You've been listening to The Coalition on Talk Radio, Facebook.com/The Coalition Radio, Twitter, Coalition_radio, and, of course, our blog page, coalitionradio.us, TaylorSwiftTax.com. Gentlemen, where can we read more about your groups, and where can we find out? And do you have anything really interesting coming up that you want to share with us?
FANG is at fangtogether.org. So you can check us out there. Also, FANG_together on Twitter. We have some things coming up. Hopefully we'll make some announcements in the next couple weeks, but things are definitely going to go down.
And Fossil Free Rhode Island has a website called fossilfreeri.org, and we post all sorts of information there and try to keep the website alive.
Gentlemen, thank you very, very much for coming in. Dave, great show this week. We'll have some announcements this week about upcoming things, and let's say hi again to Mr. Fagnet this week.
Hey, assalamu alaikum, Rich.